The night was designed to sparkle, every light placed with intention, every step rehearsed, every smile perfected. Cameras lined the entrance like a glowing runway, flashes cutting through the evening as if each second needed to be captured forever. It was one of those events where nothing was meant to feel accidental, yet somehow, something unexpected still found its way into the spotlight. When Zhang Linghe arrived, the atmosphere shifted almost instantly. There was a quiet confidence in the way he moved, calm, composed, aware of every camera without appearing to notice any. His presence was magnetic, not loud, not overwhelming, just steady enough to draw attention without asking for it. People watched, fans leaned forward, and for a moment, it felt like the night had chosen its center. Not long after, Tian Xiwei stepped into the same space, and everything softened. Her entrance carried a different kind of energy, warm, graceful, almost effortless. Where Zhang Linghe was composed, she was luminous. Where he was quiet strength, she was gentle charm. Together, even without standing side by side, they created a balance that felt almost cinematic. And that was exactly why everyone noticed what happened next. They did not stand together. At first, it seemed like nothing. Just a small detail lost in a busy event. But then it happened again. And again. Subtle shifts in positioning. Careful turns. A step forward here, a pause there. Moments where they could have naturally ended up beside each other, but did not. Fans began to whisper. Cameras zoomed in. Something was unfolding, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a way that demanded attention precisely because it was so controlled. The distance that spoke louder than words. There was one moment in particular that changed everything. Both Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei found themselves approaching the same section of the red carpet at nearly the same time. The timing was almost perfect, the kind that usually results in shared photos, coordinated poses, a moment fans can replay endlessly. But just as they drew close, something shifted. Zhang Linghe slowed slightly, almost imperceptibly. Tian Xiwei adjusted her step, just enough to create space. It was smooth, natural, and so subtle that anyone not paying close attention might have missed it entirely. But the cameras did not miss it. And neither did the fans. The gap between them was not wide, but it was intentional. It felt like an invisible line had been drawn, one that neither of them crossed. A scene that felt scripted, but was not. Inside the venue, the atmosphere grew richer, deeper, more layered. Conversations flowed, glasses clinked softly, and laughter drifted through the room like background music. Yet beneath it all, there was a quiet tension, not uncomfortable, but present. Zhang Linghe moved through the crowd with ease, greeting colleagues, exchanging brief words, maintaining his calm rhythm. Tian Xiwei did the same, her smile warm, her interactions light and effortless. And still, they never quite aligned. At one point, they stood on opposite sides of the same group. Close enough to acknowledge each other, far enough to avoid direct interaction. It was not avoidance in the obvious sense. It was something more refined. Something deliberate. The moment that made everyone pause. Then came the moment no one expected. Across the room, in the middle of overlapping conversations and shifting lights, their eyes met. It lasted only a second. But it was enough. There was no shock, no confusion, no visible emotion. Just recognition. A quiet understanding that did not need words. And then, just as quickly, it was gone. They both turned away, continuing their conversations as if nothing had happened. But everything had happened. What fans thought versus what was real. Online, the theories began almost immediately. Some believed there was tension. Others imagined a hidden disagreement. A few insisted it was staged, a calculated move designed to create buzz. But the truth was far more interesting than any theory. This was not about conflict. It was about awareness. Zhang Linghe did not keep his distance because something was wrong. He did it because something mattered. In an industry where every glance can be turned into a headline, every shared moment can spark speculation, sometimes distance is not absence. Sometimes, it is protection. The real reason behind the distance. Both Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei understand the weight of public perception. They know how quickly stories can be created, how easily narratives can form from a single frame. Standing together might have been simple, but the meaning behind it would not have been. So instead, they chose something harder. Something quieter. Something that required control. They chose distance. Not cold distance. Not forced separation. But a measured, intentional space that allowed them to exist in the same room without becoming the story everyone expected. The ending no one saw coming. As the night began to fade and the event slowly emptied, the final scenes unfolded without an audience. Zhang Linghe exited through one side, calm as ever, his expression unreadable yet peaceful. Tian Xiwei left moments later, her presence just as graceful as when she arrived. No shared exit. No final moment together. Just two individuals walking their own paths, exactly as they had all night. And maybe that is what made it unforgettable. Not what happened, but what did not. Because sometimes, the most powerful moments are not the ones that bring people together. They are the ones that show just how carefully two people can choose to stand apart and still leave everyone watching. The night should have ended there. 2 stars, 1 event, and a silence that left the world guessing. But the truth is, the most unforgettable part of the story did not happen under the bright lights. It happened after. The aftermath that no camera captured. As the final guests drifted out and the once vibrant venue began to quiet, the energy of the night softened into something almost surreal. The echoes of laughter faded. The flashes disappeared. What remained was stillness. Zhang Linghe was among the last to leave his circle. He moved without urgency, exchanging a few final words, offering polite nods, maintaining that same calm presence that defined his entire night. On the other side, Tian Xiwei lingered briefly, speaking with a small group before slowly stepping away. For a brief moment, their paths aligned again. Not on the carpet. Not in front of cameras. Just quietly. The one scene that changes everything. There was no announcement. No audience. Just a hallway, dimly lit, where the noise of the event could no longer reach. Zhang Linghe paused. Tian Xiwei stepped forward. And for the first time that night, there was no distance. No calculated steps. No careful positioning. Just 2 people, standing still. They did not speak immediately. It was the kind of silence that carried meaning, not emptiness. A pause that felt intentional, like both of them understood that whatever this moment was, it did not belong to anyone else. Then, finally, a few quiet words. Soft. Brief. Unheard. But enough. Enough to shift everything that had been building all night. What that moment really meant. When they stepped apart, something was different. The distance returned, but it no longer felt like a barrier. It felt like a decision that had been agreed upon. That is what fans never saw. The distance was never confusion. It was alignment. They were not avoiding each other. They were protecting something. Something that did not need to be explained, displayed, or turned into speculation. The truth behind the silence. All night, the world searched for signs. Was it tension? Was it disagreement? Was it something hidden? But the truth was quieter than all of that. Zhang Linghe kept his distance not because he wanted to be far from Tian Xiwei, but because he understood what being close would create. In a space where every second becomes a headline, closeness is never just closeness. It becomes a story. And not every story needs to be told. The ending no one expected. When they finally left, it was just like before. Separate. Calm. Unspoken. No shared goodbye for the public to analyze. No final glance for cameras to capture. Just 2 individuals walking into the night, carrying a moment that only they understood. And maybe that is why the story stayed. Because it was never loud. Never dramatic. Never obvious. It was quiet. Precise. Intentional. And that is the real ending. Sometimes the most powerful connections are not the ones that are shown. They are the ones that are carefully hidden in plain sight. A step taken back. A glance held for a second too long. A distance that says more than closeness ever could. That night was not about what people saw. It was about what they almost saw. And sometimes, almost is what makes a story unforgettable.